What's good, y'all? What's cracking? We just want to say what's up. We got a couple updates here to give y'all. Also, we just wanted to show our faces and tell you thank you for supporting. We appreciate you watching. And we'll have a major video dropping. So we have a major documentary coming out. It's the
Yeah,
second one, but it's a two-parter. It's going to be a two-parter.
2 parts.
Parts. Okay, it's the Cannabis Museum. So we went to the Ohio Cannabis Museum, did a feature there, talked to some of the founders, some of the people who are the directors, and everybody who's involved with the Cannabis Museum, who kind of in the community hung out and had a lot of fun. So it was really
Beautiful
cool.
people.
Beautiful people. You like Athens? You've been up to Athens, right?
I've met them. Kristen and Donnie, I've met them. Toured. I
Don
did like
Julio.
a
Don
really mini.
Julio.
I did like a mini tour.
I
Because
got
I was on my lunch break, but yeah, I got to see a little bit of it, and I actually sat down and ate with Donnie and Kristen and some other people from out there. On
okay.
Canvas Lobby Day, actually. So yeah.
All right, guys, that's the updates. Like I said, thank you for rocking with us. And once again, it's Ohio TV Podcast. Love y'all.
Hey.
Hey everyone, how's everybody doing? This is the Ohio TV Podcast. Once again, it's Will and Bree bringing you another guest. Today, we're honored to welcome a true advocate of justice in the cannabis space, Travis Cullen.
How's it
Good to have you,
going?
man.
Love
Good to have you, man.
Ohio. Every
Yeah.
time I'm cruising through Ohio, I'm so grateful that you guys have legal cannabis now and I don't have to worry about getting pulled over and I'm like heck yeah. I go
For
to the
sure.
East Coast from Minnesota a lot. So we have to go
Mm,
through Ohio and it's a lot more comforting knowing that we're not going to get locked up for small amounts of cannabis in our vehicle
I
in
feel you on
Ohio.
that.
Yeah.
That OH-HighYo is like a
Yeah.
is a prominent thing now. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
and they got the signs on the highway like, if you're a drug trafficker, call this number, pull over. Like,
Yeah. All right. So as as a CEO of Freedom Soda and owner of Laughing Waters,
yep,
THC Glass and Smoke Shop. That's a long
yep.
name, man. It's dope though.
Heck
Uh,
yeah.
Travis is not just a business owner, but a relentless fighter for those who still imprisoned for nonviolent cannabis crimes. After serving 8 years in federal prison for cannabis-related charges, he turned this experience into action, advocating for prisoners like Michael Woods and Edwin Rubis while exposing the flaws in the system. He's also been very vocal about social equity challenges in the cannabis industry, pushing for real reform that benefits most affected by prohibition. Today, we'll dive into his journey, his fight for justice, and his vision for a fair cannabis industry. Please join us in welcoming Travis once again to the Ohio Podcast.
Thank you. That was very great. Very
Thank you.
nice
Thank
intro.
you.
Intro.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate you.
Okay, so we're going to start out with our icebreaker question that we like to ask everyone. Do you use cannabis? Why or why not?
All day long, every day, as much as I can possibly ingest. I wish they could hook a needle up to me and just mainline the cannabis. Maybe when I hope they
Just
figure out a way to do that. Yeah.
Oh my
bring it to me.
goodness.
Let me get
I've
the
never
IV.
shot
Let me
up
get
in
it.
my
Let me get
life,
it.
but if they
Yeah.
figure it out, I might be
I'm
first in
sure
line.
there's a way.
I love
Probably.
cannabis. Yeah, I love gummies, so I'm into gummies now. I've always smoked. I grew up
Okay.
smoking cigarillos and blunts my whole life, and as the industry's involved, luckily we don't have to murder ourselves with those tough things. Now I like gummies a lot, so I base my high all day long with plenty of like 50, 100 milligram gummies. And then I
Nice.
smoke I'm into the glass tip rosin joints right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
I
what
think
I
I've
try
heard
to
about
do.
the glass tip rosin
That's
joints. Those are new.
that's big fancy.
Oh
What?
man,
That's
they
new.
hit so nice.
It's new to me.
Yeah, that's just all personal. Yeah.
Wow.
Hey,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Love that.
fire.
Okay. Onto your personal journey. Can you walk us through your journey with cannabis? How did it all start, and what led you to become an advocate for prisoners serving time for nonviolent marijuana offenses?
Yeah, so in 2004, when I was 21 years old, me and my best friend, we were trafficking cannabis to Minnesota from California. One of the loads got caught, 700 pounds, and the driver ratted and put the load on me and my best friend. We got, scumbag.
What?
I hate snitches. Like, snitching is never cool. Even these
Dang,
stores that snitch on each other, like, just stop.
that's crazy.
Just
So that
just respect the plant. Nobody owns the plant. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's for everyone. And when you start
Period.
when you try to act like you own it, that's when all that. So anyways, yeah, he got pulled over. I was 21 years old, just a little young kid. And, the black market was so
Oh my God.
thriving back then. It was totally different than it is now. There's a lot of money in it back
it's a game
then.
changer, bro.
Yeah.
It's a different mindset from what you look at once you get out of the situation, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just it's just economics. People wanted their medicine. I
Right.
was grew up in poverty a little bit more than maybe some of my friends from the suburb. So I started selling to them. It turned into a big operation because there was no cannabis around. Now there's cannabis everywhere. You don't see these big operations of black market dealers so easy, and it was just, and then I got popped and they hooked me up in a conspiracy and I spent 8 years in federal prison because I didn't want to tell on my friends. And my best friend, Ben
Wow.
Schuchert, he didn't say anything. And, he did like 5 years. You
Wow. Dang. So you
Terre
got some
Haute, Indiana, a lot of it.
significant amount of time then.
Yeah, 21 to 30 years old. I got out when I was 30. First time
Wow.
felon.
Damn.
Wow.
Damn.
So
Okay.
yeah,
They didn't even give you a chance. That's
so
rough.
the journey continued. I got out. I worked construction. Didn't really want anything to do with cannabis. And then Minnesota in 2020. So I got out in 2013. I had a granite countertop business. Then Minnesota in 2020 legalized cannabis. I was like, oh heck yeah, I'm in. And then they went even farther to put social equity in. I said, what? I said, they're going to talk about repairing the harm that they did to me. I never even thought of that concept, but I was like, wow, this fits me so perfect. I'm so excited to pay it forward. I was just in the beginning of it, I thought we were going to be stuck like Ohio. Oh my gosh, we're a cannabis felon, can't even get in the industry. And that's the problem with the Republicans. They view somebody who sold cannabis before it was legal as a criminal, but if you sell it now after it's legal, you're a good person. But they need to understand the new people to cannabis need to always understand it's medicine. We have a
Right.
constitutional right to have our medicine, and people are willing to go to prison for it because we need it. Our body needs it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hated to see that with Ohio, and I had to point that up. It's like, what about the felons for cannabis charges? They should, in Minnesota, we get a little bit preferential treatment, and that comes from the Democrats legalizing it pretty much.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Wow.
And
Yeah, I was gonna
and
say
I'm
you
I'm
got
I'm for Trump right now because Trump's saying a lot of good things about cannabis. So I don't want people to think like I'm totally nonpartisan when it comes to the laws and getting people out of prison. Like I could care less. Trump's making some good moves in the cannabis sector for sure. There's a lot of positive signs and we have to embrace that, I think.
hey. So let me ask you this. So your last prisoner project, and you're talking about your advocacy. Sorry, I struggle with the
Yeah.
word. Uh, it raised $3 million in donations.
Yeah. So what happened with Last Prisoner Project is I went and met with them and they're like super like elitist type people wearing suits, like not like people of the culture like us. You know what I mean? Like we're all like, this is the culture. And like, so I worked with them and then I looked into them. I looked into their financials. Yeah, they're getting in $3 million a year. And then they're only putting 100,000 back on the inmates commissaries. And they're misrepresenting to the community what they're doing through advertising and PR marketing, that they're actually helping these people. And we're so desperately in need of help, me and my people in prison, you know, like we need that money. If there's $3 million available for us, it needs to get 2 million needs to get to the inmates, because I'm finding myself sending commissary money to the people that they're supposed to be supporting, and then they make up reasons what they do, and it's all just a big PR marketing. Let's act like we're behind the movement. And so yeah, I've been uncovering that too.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I
Gotcha.
wrote on my website about it. I just put the facts out there for the community to read. And
That's
just
actually
try.
where that question came from. I was reading your article as you were
Yeah,
talking
oh
about it.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Just putting
yeah,
the facts out there, you know, because I deal with the cases of people in prison for cannabis is so bad. It's like they're in there for so long. Life sentence. You mentioned Michael Woods. He was a guy out of Syracuse, New York. He was smuggling cannabis out of Canada. Remember when the weed was coming down? You know, he might have been behind moving some pounds, maybe even a ton of marijuana. Let's say that he did us all a favor. We needed that cannabis. Nobody got hurt. There's no violence linked to the case, and this guy does not have a out date. And on top of that, he's a Canadian citizen, so his family and the people like that would be fighting for him are terrified to come down to America, and it's like, so basically back to my journey, this is all about my journey. The second I started selling, I quit my construction business because I was always smoking, and I got into the low dose edible business in Minnesota, the 10 milligram business, with Freedom Soda. And I said, you know what? The second I made money, I felt so guilty. It just, because I remember growing up in federal prison for cannabis. When you're in there, there is 300 minutes a month that you can use to call the outside world, and they have to accept your call. So what I'm saying is they have no power, they have no voice. And I just took it on myself. I'm single. I don't have children right now, So it's just like I took this on as my greatest passion. I've been doing it for 2 years. And it's been remarkable, the people I've been meeting, because the message is so pure. I don't take money. I'm just hustling, and I send the guys money too. And it's just like, I just want people to do better. And at Last Prisoner Project, I just want them to give the inmates the money if they're going to if they're going to be the representation of us. Just change your ways, stop acting like you're above criticism. You know what I mean? And like, we're all supposed to be hippies. That's what I feel like. We're all,
Right.
you know, like
for sure, for
Period.
sure.
nobody's better than anybody. You know what I mean? Like, let's share the money so if you give an inmate $10,000, like, oh my God, and they don't get fancy or whatever they're doing, and so I've stepped into a room with a lot of people that I never thought I'd be in a room with. And all I have is staying true to myself. And I know that if the government came after me and I didn't break for them when I was 21 years old, there's not much that can stop me except being a liar. And I would never do that.
Okay. I feel you.
Yeah.
Nice. I feel like you kind of already answered this question, but just for the sake of, should I still ask him this question? Well,
Yeah, yeah. Ask him.
Ask
okay,
it.
yeah, just
Yeah.
for the sake of, I'll ask. So you've shared that you spent 8 years in federal prison for cannabis-related charges. How did that experience shape your perspective and fuel your passion for this work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I can best answer that I was at MJ Biz in 2023. Yeah, 2023. I went in there raising money for a nonprofit that helps inmates, right? Nobody wanted to donate except the minorities, except the people that have been to prison, except the people that have been victimized by the system in
Right.
general. They have tons of empathy for me, and it made me very upset. And I view the industry as a $30 billion industry that could so easily fix this problem of Edwin Rubis been in prison 27 years for cannabis. Parker Coleman had the 60-year conspiracy case for cannabis out of North Carolina from when he was 23 years old. And I see the industry is so powerful
Yeah.
that this could all be changed in 10 minutes. And when it comes to the top, we are hopeful. Like, Biden completely let us down. Completely. Like, I was crying. I was checking the news every second The second he left office, oh man, like everybody was pushing Biden, and then he gave clemency to everybody else. Well, if they had a enhancement, it's a long story who qualified, but if you had a certain type of thing on your case, and Biden said no marijuana cases, he said that in his actions, at least. I mean, I wasn't in the room with him, but we were hoping for clemency, and that was a huge letdown.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's how I view the industry. I view the industry as misguided. I view the industry as
Yeah.
if you've had any sort of struggle in your life and you get presented with the issue that, like me, I went to federal prison for 8 years when I was 21 off the same stuff that you're living your life off of, that you're making money, that you're feeding your family. That same product put me in prison. It's not about me. Let's get these other guys out. I view the industry as needing to address that. And then also, the industry has a right as a person, is your soul. If you're the
Mm-hmm.
guy that's making, or the woman that's making the money, and you're up here and it's easy for you and life's good off the plant, it's all the same plant. You need to reach out to people like Edwin Rubis when they get out. You need to be good by the auras of, like, the big auras. I would like
Yeah.
laws where cannabis companies have to help people that were incarcerated, but laws are stupid to do stuff like that. But social equity for people, like, okay, so we just had a release finally. Valerie Flores, she got out. She's from Wisconsin. We were there for her. I gave her some money. I helped her the last few years, but she's 32 years old now. She's been in prison from 25 to 32 years old for cannabis charges. And
It's a long time.
yeah, and it's like,
It's a long time.
I feel for them. Those are my brothers and sisters. So I want to help them. That's my personal mission. And I think that when I present the facts to people, there are certain people, all people help, but there are certain people that are willing to do it. And it's really a great feeling when they help the inmates. So, and then another goal I really have is, my dream is this, like, dispensaries should be dealing with inmates that were impacted by multiple years of prison, like, directly. Like, we got to get rid of this buffer of these nonprofits, like that. That's a problem, because
Yeah.
it looks good for the dispensaries to help people like me and Edward
Yeah.
Rubis, and they want to. So I'm trying to figure out a way to bridge that gap.
So that leads me into my next question. That's like perfect. You just made a perfect segue.
Yeah,
Basically, what inspired you to dedicate your life to fighting for freedom of cannabis prisoners? Which, I mean, you just literally answered it, but you can expand on
yeah.
it if you want.
Well, yeah, it's just who I am, man. I've always had a huge heart. I didn't not tell when I went to federal prison because I was like some big tough guy. I didn't tell because I didn't want to hurt my friend. I try to be a good person. I try to live a righteous life. And then I got into this and I saw the representation that we had in the activist community, and I just saw that I was needed. And it's always good to be needed, and I do feel needed in the community of activism.
Hey, hey. Can you share a specific story about prisoners like Michael Woods or even Rubis,
Yeah.
or
So
others you're advocating for?
so I'll do 5 stories for you. I got them all on my van. I got a van that says "We Need Clemency Now," and I got 5 inmates on it, and it's everybody. It's all cultures. So we'll start with Frank Rogers. He has 22 years for 200 pounds of cannabis. Hold on. Hey, stop it. For 200 pounds of cannabis, he has 22-year sentence. He just got out. He just got denied for his clemency. He's been in 12 years. He really wants to get out. We have Michael Woods. He has a life sentence. He's been in 12 years also. Michael Woods and Frank Rogers are both out of Syracuse, New York. Michael Woods has a life sentence from Canada. They came and got him out of Canada, promised Canada they wouldn't give him a life sentence. There's a bad judge up there in Syracuse that just gives a lot of people a lot of time.
Out of Canada, though? They wouldn't pluck them out of Canada?
Yeah, they plucked him out of Canada, bro.
That's crazy.
God dang.
I mean, the feds are serious, man. You talk about the men in black. The feds, like, I do not commit crimes, conspiracies. Like, oh God, no. Like they're not playing. When they
Yeah.
said, so yeah. Then you got Ismael Lira, Mexican guy. He was in America. They hooked him up, gave him a life sentence. He had like a car dealership, but anyway, he's been down like 15 years. And then you have Edwin Rubis out of Texas. He's one of the most prolific cases. And all these guys, I send them money. I'm really with them. I'd send them little money, like a couple $100 a month, but they appreciate that. But I'm like the union representative for the inmates. Like, come on, guys, give my guys more money. Like, call me. Like, we can talk. I know you're reading my articles. Like, I can keep writing them. Are they could give them the money? So, anyways, yeah.
So
And then
let me ask you this: what's your biggest obstacle then for providing that money to them? Like,
you got the
what's the biggest
gatekeepers.
block?
The gatekeepers, man, gatekeepers are dangerous. When you get people that act like they want to help, but they don't really want to help and they just want to benefit themselves, and then they stop people like me from actually helping, that's when it gets bad. But luckily, I have a lot of connections and friends where, like, now we're working on the other side of the aisle. We got to push through Trump. And I got some good leads on people that know Trump. And hopefully, the fact that he got persecuted by, the government came after him, so he understands what it's like to get arrested. Whether people agree with that or not, he got arrested, right? So usually in my experience with activism, people that went through the system are very much more better to like relate to what I'm talking about. I'm a one issue person. I want my people out of prison. I don't care who does it. So yeah, just whatever, man. Gatekeepers are the worst thing. And then, we got to get the money directly to the inmates. We got to get the lobbying going like harder and stuff. I'm hoping it's over. I'm hoping they reschedule. I'm hoping Trump does one of his maniac moves, lets everybody out of prison for cannabis. And I would be like, heck yeah, this is great. Done with this. I'm going to go back to just selling cannabis.
Hey, if it's a way, it's a way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they say. Hey guys, make sure you check out our special interview with
But the
Mahamara
Black Panther Party has
and
always
Thomas.
been intellectual. It has always been about the needs of its people and its community. So the threat that J. Edgar Hoover had against the Black Panthers was that it was feeding people.
Yeah, pretty much in a nutshell. It's hard to add to that. Again, it's back to the negative connotations.
Be sure to check it out on YouTube.
Black Panther Party, which I think some of it is.
Yeah, man, it sounds good. It sounds like as long as we can get something done, no matter whatever it is, as far
Yeah,
as what I'm saying, it don't it to me it sounds like you just want your people out, man. Like regardless if it's
truly,
Biden, regardless if it's Trump,
truly.
you know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
All it is I need my folks. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
just bring me my folks back. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes. It's
So
bad.
I feel that, bro. I feel that. I do see that like a lot of times because here in Louisville before weed was decriminalized, a lot of people were getting hit for like half O's or like small amounts, stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? And they were going to jail for like 10, 20 years
That's terrible.
just
That's
for
the
small
worst.
amounts.
And that's all just so they can have jobs for the prison guards. That's systemic problems that the drug war did on certain communities. And that's like the Minnesota bill, they addressed that. If you lived in a high policed area, you qualify for social equity. And it's not like giving us a big advantage, but the fact that the government actually recognized these actions through bills is like, heck yeah, word.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Like they
I
don't want to
feel
hear
you.
none of that in Ohio, right?
right.
Hey,
No.
Ohio don't play. Ohio
No,
don't play. Ohio don't
no,
play.
they don't.
There's a lot of dudes in the feds from Ohio. I remember that.
I
Yeah,
feel
for
you.
sure. There's a
Yeah.
Okay,
lot
so
that
you've
needs
been.
to be done.
I'm sorry. What'd you say, Brie? I didn't mean
Oh,
to
I
cut you
just
off.
said there's a lot that needs to be done.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot of it's in activism. And that is one of the good things about these organizations that they do. They do raise awareness and they did, so that is good. The more we can talk about the subject of incarceration for cannabis and incarcerated people for cannabis, the better. So that is good. But to see people profit and steal commissary money is like, come on, guys. In my
Yeah.
opinion, this
Yeah,
is
that's
all
crazy.
my opinion. You know what I mean? Travis
Yeah,
Cullen.
that's terrible though. You shouldn't be trying to take somebody else's money,
Oh, I couldn't do it.
especially with it. Those funds are for them, and I know those
Yeah.
work programs don't pay them not a dime. And a lot of times,
Oh,
those
it's
work
so hard
programs
in there.
they take it away from you. Like you may
Yeah,
make
it's
the
so
money, but
hard
you
in
don't
there.
even see it. So
Yeah, and the wealth gap is so great. It's like, man, I can see if you're like you get $3 million, you're giving out, 2.2 million back. It's like that's a good argument, but come on, man. What's going
I
on
hear
here?
you.
This is grifting.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. So you've been
Yeah.
vocal about your concerns with the organization, like the Last
Yeah.
Prisoner Project.
I write
What
about them.
issue? Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
write about
You,
them.
you write about them? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What issues do you see with their approach, and how do you believe their advocacy work in this space could be improved?
Well, they could stop taking the platform from good people that are in it for the right reasons. This is advocacy and volunteering. I'm not here to make money. I'm here because it pains my heart that we have these people in prison. So they could stop and let people that are truly like inmates. I'm sorry, but if you haven't been to prison for a long time, you don't understand how bad it is. And they have some inmates in there, but they're not like really running the show. You know what I mean? You need to have it, just put your heart in the right place, or at least be honest, or I'm going to hold them accountable. I just don't care, man. It's like, just consider me as the guy that's fresh out the hole looking at all these people like, oh my God, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know?
So how can individuals or smaller organizations make a meaningful impact? Um, without falling into like performative activism, like a bunch of extra like fake stuff or stuff that kind of exploits
I
what they're trying
think
to do.
I think they're all good. Even Last Prisoner Project, as far as raising awareness, but
Hmm.
I think my hat's off to the companies that donate to these people and their hearts are in the right place. And then as far as like them actually like changing people's lives, I don't know. I haven't seen it. You know what I mean? I don't know, man.
Hmm.
They send money in and like I'm so blacklisted from these people. I don't even want to say the names of the people that I like. It's like I came in and like I just saw this whole room of people and I was like, oh my God, you guys got it all wrong. So it's just
Yeah.
like there's a lot of work to do in that area
Yeah.
for sure. Well,
Sounds like it.
the number one activist though in the country, hands down, is Weldon Angelos with Project Mission Green, and the reason is when Weldon he's out of Utah, so when he was in his 20s, he got arrested for $900 of cannabis, and he was sentenced to 55 years in prison, federal prison.
Wow.
All the senators in Utah fought for him. He served 13 years, and then he was let out by clemency through President Obama. Just gave him regular clemency, and he's super, super intelligent. He actually writes the clemency. He's the guy. He just did an article with Mike Tyson, and I get to talk to him once in a while. That's very rewarding. But yeah, he's the real deal. He's the real deal. And then there's a lot of good people doing a lot of good work. But as far as like people I've actually had interactions with, that would be the one. But so anyways, but he got clemency through Obama, and then Trump came in and gave him a full pardon his last term, and Weldon worked with Trump and got some people out. He was responsible for some people getting released for sure during the last hour of
Nice.
Trump's administration. He helped with the lady that Trump let out is very her name's slipping my mind, but she had a life sentence for crack cocaine, African American lady. She's wonderful. She's very powerful in as far as really getting people out. That's who does it. That lady. She's the most wonderful lady in the world, and her name's slipping my mind right now because I'm too high.
We
But
got
I hate
time.
when
We
that
got time. We come back.
happens.
Yeah,
yeah,
we come back. If it hits you,
yeah. Oh, it hit
just
me.
say it out.
Hold on. Can I Google it? Let me Google it.
Yeah, you can.
All right, I'm Googling. Yeah, do a little Joe Rogan action. Trump. They call her the grandma. Alice Marie
Okay.
Alice. She's a
What's her
beautiful,
name?
beautiful Alice
What's the name
Marie.
again?
Alice Marie.
Alice Murray.
Yeah, she's
Alice Murray.
amazing.
Okay.
Okay.
She's if for me, for what I went through, if I saw this lady, I'd like, what can I do to help you? How can these are the people that really can get in and and even for me, ex incarcerated people, we try to do good. Like because like we are, when the government looks like, oh, Travis, he's doing good, he's running a business, maybe I can let these other guys out, because it's so painful being in there. And like that's the thing with going to prison for cannabis, it's just luck of the draw. It's
Yeah.
really if some prosecutor in Ohio gets an idea that he wants to indict somebody for legal cannabis, they can still do that federally, and they might, you know, if you step outside of it. And then the length of the sentences is the problem. It's not that I'm saying, oh, don't put people in prison. Like, yeah, if you break the law, go to jail. I broke the law. I should have went to jail, but 2 years would have been suffice to the harm I was doing to it's a tax crime at this point.
Hey, hey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I jumped too fast on the gun. I was actually really excited for Bree's skit because it's something
Oh,
I'm looking forward to hearing. Like, so
Oh my
Bree, I'm
goodness, are
gonna
you
give it.
kidding?
No, I'm being this serious. I actually
Okay,
really
I
am
have to
excited. Like,
grab my singing bowl. It's literally right behind my camera. Do you mind if I just grab it real quick though?
Yeah, grab
Before
it.
I
I
get
Yeah,
love
go
started?
ahead.
it. I'm here.
Yeah,
Yep.
go ahead. Yes. So the new thing that we're adding to the podcast is skits, and we'll have a
I
little
love it.
sections for us to open up and talk about, things that we like. So this is Bree's section,
Nice.
and I'm gonna let her breathe on that. She's got her singing bowl. She's getting it ready.
Okay, I'm sorry, you guys. I should have been prepared.
Oh, you're
But it
fine.
just came to me like while we've been sitting here, because this is our first time doing our own segments.
Love
Do you
it.
want me to just
Mm-hmm.
get started? No clap or
Yes, go.
anything?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Go in there.
Mm.
Welcome to the Hempress house. I'm the Ebony Hempress. And we are here to connect with cannabis in a more deeper sense, in a more holistic, and maybe possibly spiritual way. So I just have a couple questions to kind of, shake up the podcast. They're a little bit more different, you know what I mean, and more tailored towards, my love and connection towards cannabis. Because I feel like, not only is cannabis medicinal for everyone, but cannabis specifically is the cannabis that we enjoy on a regular basis is a feminine, you know, it's the feminine plant, right? So it's a divine feminine, um, creation or representation of this, the all is what I believe. So I have like these, deep reverences for cannabis, right? So you personally, Travis, just curious, like how do you describe your relationship with cannabis? Please tell us.
I feel like I have to educate. I'm an educator for cannabis. I love it so deeply. I'm past the learning stage, and now I just have to remind people that nobody owns it. So
I
I'm an
love that.
educator.
I love that. I'm also an educator and I love to educate and just like tell people about, the science behind cannabis and open everybody's minds because it's so interesting because if you think about, I mean everybody's journey with cannabis is different, right? But like when I first started smoking, for example, what I really knew about what was happening like on a, deeper level,
Mm-hmm.
in comparison to now is a lot different.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. So it's very eye opening. So I love that you're an educator as well in the space. And then I also just wanted to ask you if you could imagine cannabis had like words of wisdom for maybe your audience, let's say, people who are in prison right now due to, weed charges, what words of wisdom do you think the plant has for those people?
We all die. Um, Gratitude every day is the biggest thing in the world. Nothing matters but helping people. It's not all about us all the time.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so
Facts.
much for sharing that with
Yeah,
us.
Facts.
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you. That was great. You guys are deep.
Appreciate
Oh,
you.
I love how the
Okay,
Yeah.
plant
back to
brings.
back to the real questions now. That was
No, that I know. I was in there. I was like, wait a minute. Wait a second. Hold up.
Zoned out.
Let's let's
Yep.
let's get in here. Let's get deep.
that's life.
Let's go. Let's go.
Back to
Let's go.
life. Back to life.
Thank you.
All
Thank you
right.
so much, Travis, for being here again. So we're gonna move on to some questions about clemency and legalization. What are your thoughts on President Biden's clemency decisions and the broader approach to cannabis legalization?
Extremely disappointed with with Joe Biden. The Democrats are good with cannabis. I'm still cool with all the Democrats on cannabis, but we just had a bad leader. And I'm independent, and Biden he had a chance to do something. I went to Washington, D.C. 5 times over the last 2 years, met with all the lawmakers I could, and just explained to them that this would have been a political play to let the people out. And he didn't do it. He didn't see it. Joe Biden, terrible, terrible on cannabis. Decisions of clemency. Yes, the administration kind of followed and didn't like arrest people. Sure, that's great. But yeah, completely let down by
Okay.
Biden with the issue of letting people out of prison and his clemency. Yeah, he failed. Huge fail.
Okay. Thank
He
you.
failed the
That's fair.
community. He really failed the cannabis community. He had an opportunity, and that just gives Trump the opportunity to steal the glory from Biden and the Democrats. And
True.
I believe he's going to do it. I
I
really
hope he
do.
does. I hope he does. I
Yeah,
hope so. Yeah.
me
I'd love to
too.
We
see that.
shall, we
It's
shall
bad
see.
in
I
there.
mean,
It's really tough being in prison, especially the amount of money everybody makes versus the horrible conditions that these people are living in.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. In your opinion, what steps should states like Minnesota, Ohio, and Kentucky take to ensure that cannabis legalization prioritizes justice for those most affected by prohibition?
Well, the first thing is to let people that have felonies for cannabis get licenses. And then if they want to take it further and do social equity measures for people that, because we all want to own our own businesses. That's our ultimate dream. All cannabis dealers that went to prison. And
Right.
then look at diverting some of the funds from tax revenue to people when they get out from cannabis charges. Ohio, I can't imagine how many people Ohio sent to prison for cannabis. Ohio has been arresting people viciously for a long time. They're known as a state that puts people in prison. So yeah, that would be really nice. But that's up to the voters, that's up to the people to decide this is what they want. And it's a lot of work, but it's rewarding.
yeah.
How can we better educate the public on the intersection of cannabis legalization and criminal justice reform?
I think stories like mine and other incarcerated people have been very impactful to the general public. People set up booths and educate people about the people in federal prison.
Yeah.
Education is key. It's very key to explain. Edwin Rubis, he's been in prison since 1997 for cannabis. No guns, no violence, cannabis. Yeah, and he still has 8 years left.
Yeah.
Parker
Wow.
Coleman has a 60-year sentence. These are the guys I drive around with on my van. Yep.
Here's a couple clips from our upcoming cannabis museum episode.
This, this tool is basically, it's used to crush the hemp stalks. And you can see it's very efficient at that.
All right, bro, man. So, Laughing Waters, THC, Glass, and Smoke Shop. Tell me about your business. How does it reflect your values and your mission in the cannabis space?
Yeah, so I opened it up about 2 years ago, thinking I want to be in the cannabis space. We got a tobacco license and a low dose hemp. So we sell the gummies, and I've just been socially active through that smoke shop, and I've spread the message about my incarceration, and I've been able to profit from the smoke shop and send the money to the people that are incarcerated and make sure they got money to eat and stuff like that. So it's just been full circle. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And along with my activism, I send them money a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
we got over
What
thirty
challenges?
thousand. donated. So far.
30,000? You said
Yeah.
30,000? You said
Yeah.
$30,000 to inmates
Oh,
already?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
consistent. We've been doing it for a couple of years, and I really enjoy it. It's really nice being able to
That's a lot
really
of money,
help.
fam.
Yeah.
That's
A
a
lot of money
lot of
in
money.
cannabis. There's a lot of money in this business.
There is.
That's what troubles me is somebody who served the time and is now 42. I consider myself a businessman, and I try to look at stuff objectively, and like I don't want to go back to prison, so I look at stuff objectively. It's like, what the heck is going on? Like, why
Yeah.
are these people in prison?
That's a perfect segue to what I'm about to ask you, actually. So, since you're an advocate, right? Where do you see yourself in the cannabis industry in 5 years, and how do you continue to contribute to its evolution?
I think in 5 years I'll be hopefully really close to doing what I'm doing right now, owning a store. I love retail, owning retail location, and traveling the country and helping the people when they get out. You know, I got one coming out soon, and I'll be there at the door with them. I try to be there at the door, give them money, and just keep doing that and helping the inmates, helping the incarcerated people, and hopefully everybody will be out. You know, and if they're out, then I don't have to worry about trying to get them out, and just really always reminding society too of the incarceration of that people that have been incarcerated by cannabis, and just trying to help people.
Yeah.
Hey, brother. Just continue the path. Just keep
Yes.
on the
Yeah,
path.
right on. Yeah, right. What I'm doing right now, if I'm able to do this in 5 years, even if I have the same amount of money I do right now, which is not a lot,
Hmm.
I'm happy. Cannabis is like, I just want to stay afloat, so I don't like make the biggest moves. I just got to be here because there's a voice for the incarcerated people. And, I love the business too. I love the people. I love everything about it.
That's awesome.
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna take us out a little bit. We were talking about some serious stuff. We've been talking about your shop, and we've been talking about a whole bunch of stuff, that we want to do in the future. Let me ask you this: Are you a fan of comic books? Are you a fan of superheroes at all?
I mean, yeah, I like it, but not really. Superman,
You,
I don't know. Yeah, I like
you're you're
Superman.
you're 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 a fan of Superman?
Yep, Superman. Yeah,
Why are you a
Batman. Like,
fan of Superman? Why
because
why
he
are you a fan of
saves
Superman?
people, he helps people, he comes through, and helps people.
Yep. So
And
the big
Robin Hood,
ass on his chest.
this young kid came in, 21. I'm 42. He looked at me. He's like, dude. He came into my store. He's like, dude, I heard you're the Robin Hood of stoners. I was like, oh hell yeah, I love.
Oh my God.
That's
Yeah,
dope,
I know,
bro.
the biggest compliment of my life. I told him, I was
Love
like, bro,
that.
I've been heard a lot of stuff, and that really, I think I gave him whatever he wanted for free or whatever. But yeah, I really
Aw.
like that.
That's a
Yeah, Robin
very
Hood had
fitting.
it down. He had it down. Robin Hood, if that can qualify.
That's
Yeah, that's very fitting, bro. That's like
Yeah, crazy.
very fitting because you come
Yeah,
from rags, and then you don't
yeah,
have riches, but you most definitely take what you have and give back. So that's a
yeah.
that's a that's a correlation right there. So
definitely.
I'm going
Superman,
for it. A lot of work to do to actually be that, but that would be cool if like I could keep. Yeah, I like that.
I mean, that's you are technically Superman in your own right though, because most people who
Yeah,
you're helping out look at you as one of those
Facts.
big, big
the
names. So
the
Period.
so you
confidence.
you embody that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and the confidence that helping the incarcerated and people gives me is unmatched. And even for other store owners, I have more people message me. I'll hook you right up with the incarcerated people for cannabis, and it just makes you
Hmm.
feel great when those people in prison are really behind you. I know my guys, really like me. I know they're behind me, and it's just like it gives you a righteousness that is like a superpower.
Undoubtedly, that makes you a hero, bro. Undoubtedly, that makes you a hero.
Right.
Yeah.
There is
Heroes.
more heroes. There's a lot of people like me that do this.
Yeah, they are. They come in all shapes and sizes. They do different things, and they
Yeah.
save different people in different aspects. So, like, that's
Right.
that's you're in your realm. If you
Yeah.
if you could give yourself a superhero nickname, what would be your
Robin
nickname?
Hood of Stoners.
Robin Hood the Stoners.
I love that.
I'm
That's
going
dope.
for it. Yeah, I'm going for it.
That's dope. That's dope. Okay. So that's my second. I'll just give you a heads up. I'm very nerdy. As you can see, I like superheroes. I like talking about superheroes. So you can see my whole wall of toys back here. Uh so I just wanted to ask the question to see if you had any special like inspirations from superheroes or anything like that. Yeah.
Um, I just get inspired, I think, when I'm high, right? So like I just always remember how
Yes.
far I
That's the
can run.
superpower. You just
Yeah, like when I'm high and I'm jogging, I can run like 4 extra miles. Like it's amazing, you know? So when I'm sober, I try to remember that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I had that
hmm
superpower when I was high. So, you know what I mean? I can run extra, you know, or I try to go get high.
I feel you. I
Period.
feel you.
Uh,
Okay. So I'm gonna run it back. I'm gonna bring us back into the questions. All right. Sharing your stories, bro, man. If you could share one story about a cannabis prisoner that has impacted you the most, what would it be?
Parker Coleman, hands down. He went to prison the same age I did. He's African
Mhm.
American. He's about the same age as me. Tough guy. Really great human
What was his
being.
What was his name again? You cut out a little bit there.
Parker Coleman. All of my
Parker
guys
Coleman.
affected me, but the fact that he's about my age and he's African American and is a white guy, it just really touches me at the injustices this man's encountered in our system in North Carolina, and the fact that he's serving 60 years,
Oh
and
my
it just
God.
makes me wonder had
So much
had he
time,
grown up
man.
different. It's just I just feel for him so bad, and the fact he's my age too, and we're close to like, and I got in to visit him. They let me visit him in USP Beaumont, you know, and now he's in USP Hazleton. So they just transferred him. He's been in 12 years. They just transferred him USP to another USP, and these are the highest security prisons in America. And
Wow.
like I've been to prison, I know it. Like doing those transfers is super dangerous because you got to get reacquainted with your territory, and just what they're doing to this human being is terrible. And all the guys, but man, yeah, I really feel for that guy. I really do.
I know most prisons they have a whole hierarchy system, a whole thing that you got to
Yeah,
kind of integrate yourself and know how to navigate yourself through. So
yeah,
having to change each world every time you get transferred is a lot.
yeah. It's
Is a lot.
dangerous. Dangerous.
Hmm
There's no second chances in those places with people that have life sentences. They kill, and it's dangerous for cannabis inmates to be in there with them. And it's really bad. The federal system is really bad. It's really bad. As far as you never get
Yeah.
out. That's the main problem. When you get into it, they have it set up so you can't appeal. You know, there's nothing like me trying for clemency is like such a long shot, but I'm on it, you know, but I don't see it as a long shot because of all the politics in the industry, and hopefully more of the important people in the industry will push those levers. They'll call their
hmm
Republican senators, they'll call their people that can get a hold of Trump and say, Trump, we need you to grant clemency to the marijuana inmates in federal prison.
Hey, hey. So, what can our audience do to support these prisoners and awareness about their cases? What can we do? How can we help?
The best way is to get a hold of people of power and try to get them to work the levers like that way, and support businesses that support people that are incarcerated. Buy weed from felons, buy weed from women, buy weed from everybody that's been impacted by this, and
I got you.
help out. I don't know, be good to people. I would say the best thing though is Google the inmate's name, who's incarcerated for cannabis, and write them directly yourself, and get involved yourself, because the inmates are in such dire need that they're gonna respond, especially if you throw them some money and try to help. That would be great if people did that.
I
Yeah.
got you.
Okay. And let's see. So, how can listeners get involved in your advocacy work? Are there specific organizations, petitions, or efforts they should know about?
Um, yeah, I just it what would be great if we could start blowing the horn at Trump and getting behind that. But as far as an organization, you know, I support I support all the organizations. I think I made it clear the one I don't. So anybody that they come up with, I don't know. Especially if an ex-incarcerated person is just running it, it's usually going to be legit. Hopefully, you
I
know.
hear you.
I
I hear you.
actually know of one specific organization that does similar work that you do. And
Yeah,
they're in Michigan actually, and they make cannabis too. They're a
I
cannabis
like them.
company.
The
Redemption,
redemption.
yes.
Yeah,
And
they're
I
legit. I rock with them. I like them. They're good. They're a good one to support. Buy
yes.
redemption weed. I support them.
Yeah. I that's immediately who I thought of when I started reading about you. Like, oh,
They
okay. I
send
wonder
money.
if you're connected to them at all.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I observed them all. It was amazing to me when I realized that people were making money off of ex-incarcerated cannabis because, like, man, I got banged when I was young. Like, I am that, and so, yeah, I
Mhm.
appreciate the people that have their hearts in the right place and
Yeah.
do the work, and it's hard work to, be honest, and,
For
yeah,
that.
and not squander the money and
Right.
not do worthless
Yeah.
things and steal credit for stuff you don't do. That's what some of those other organs that I mentioned earlier like to do, and it's just it's crazy. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
just say don't support the Last Prisoner Project. That would be my main thing. Like, no, they got some soul searching to do.
Gotcha.
Noted. What's one lesson you've learned from your time in advocacy and entrepreneurship that you'd like to share with our audience?
I was told that I didn't belong on the platform of helping inmates incarcerated for cannabis. And I did 8 years in prison incarcerated for cannabis. So it's like, don't let anybody tell you anything in the cannabis industry. You can do whatever you want. If
Period.
you're willing to work hard and be honest and have integrity, like
I
this
love that.
space is wide open.
Yeah,
Be creative. Think outside the box. Be willing to work with other people, and just
definitely.
keep going, because it's always a no until it's a yes. And when it's a yes, it's a good yes. It feels good. I've
Yeah.
Definitely.
Uh,
You want to go ahead, Will?
yeah. So, last question. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to highlight? Is there anything that's important? Is there anything that you want to speak about that you just want to make sure people know about? It could be
yeah.
organizations, it could be how to contact you, anything. So, if there's anything you want to
No,
say, go ahead and say it.
it's your law. It's like, why on earth would they legalize cannabis in Ohio and tell people that got arrested with cannabis you can't get a license? That is ridiculous. That needs to
Yeah.
change. That
Yeah.
is morally unheard of. If they would have did that in Minneapolis, I think I would have tried to start my own riot. Like, it would have been like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
that is ridiculous. And these politicians need to be held accountable for that kind of behavior. And listen to the ones that are talking, the organizations that are saying, hey, this isn't right, because that's not right. That is
Yeah.
not right. That is a war on poor people. And it's not about one race. It's
Exactly.
all poor people together. And the more we stick together and call them out for stuff like that, it's blatantly wrong that if somebody got arrested for cannabis, you're disqualified from selling cannabis when cannabis is legal. Like, this will be looked upon in history as the wrong policy. So I would say fight that hard.
Yeah.
And
For
don't
sure.
say social equity, because oh my God, they'll get scared of that, because that's like almost too good to be true. You know what I mean? But
I hear you.
say I want people with felons to be able to do business and get out of the streets.
Right.
I hear
That
you.
should be
I
a
hear you.
no-brainer.
Yeah.
People, yeah, we shouldn't have people in the streets and stuff, and we should be able to save the people who are in these jails for these crimes. We should be able to. There should be a lot more help,
Yeah,
and that's most definitely a big thing.
for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. Oh,
Travis, man, you've been awesome, bro. We really appreciate you talking, man.
Yeah.
If there's
appreciate you.
any shout outs for like socials or anything to get you
Yeah,
contact, go ahead and
Travis
drop them.
Cullen TC on Instagram, and I'm always like talking about the inmates, and I'm focused on them and getting them out, and I got some tricks up my sleeve to get clemency in. That's the only thing that matters in life, is getting them out. That nothing else is important for the cannabis community. All the stuff that people think is important doesn't matter, because we will be judged by our actions. So we have to try to get them out.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I hear you. All right, and with that, we're at the end of the episode. So thanks for coming to another episode
Thank
of Oh
you.
Ohio TV,
Hey,
Appreciate
and we
you.
Jesse,
will
great.
catch you next
Thank
time.
you. Yep.